at the board, so you contribute, okay? So I'm borrowing someone else's code over here, one team's code. And I want to walk through the test. So for us to know a little bit. First, my apologies for some of you if you run RSpec generator and then it doesn't work. The problem here is in this code right here, in environment, config, application RB. Normally you don't have this. But when my partner generated this project with Rails App Composer, which is stupid. App Composer is stupid, not my partner. But basically, this guy just turned off all the RSpec generator. So it only worked for that. So obviously, I have to turn everything is true, or I can just remove everything here, really. So it's just basically you can turn off all, you just, like that. It just generates the framework. So what it means is that you can run Rails generate RSpec controller and then put a name to it, right? Same way, let's say products, right? All right, yes. That's the idea. So you've done it for model. Okay, next. Let's try to understand the RSpec folder, right? It's a spec folder. Some of you are still new to this, okay? So it's quite interesting. You have to make sure you have the correct controller name, not product. Products controller, product type controller. There are two ways to prepare data. Right? Please ask if you have questions here. One is to use a before block. Now before each do is the same as before what? Do. It's the same. Now if you only want to run it once before all the tests, you can do before all, but never do it because it's not a good practice. Before each means you run this guy before this test, and then at the end of this test, it destroys the data, reset the database again. If you run before all, it wait until this entire file is finished. So that's not a good idea. The idea is that you actually want every test to start out fresh, right? And you only have this much data in your database, right? You can use Factory Girl or you can use something else. It's up to you. So don't worry if it reads like this. Don't worry, you can do factory just do product.create. Okay? So now one way is to put a before block. Some of you just do it like this. Don't do it because that makes, that's not inside any test. Okay? It's just there like lost. So don't do that. When you write any test, you always start out by just putting it here. And then you're like, okay, I have another test. Then I can put it in a before block. So you don't need each because that's the default. Make sense? If you have another test, you can add another it block. It has to be in an it block. That's why if you write expect and something doesn't work, it's because your expect is not in an it block. So IT here. Now, when you test a method, last time I showed you, you do this, instance method. So this is a good way to do instant test and instance method. So let's say in this controller, I actually test the index method, right? So you can do this, okay? So does it make sense, guys? It just makes the data a little clearer, right? Now, if you test a class method, let's go to the other guy. I put it here, okay? Let's go to model, and you test a class method. Now, this is a good way. But if you are testing, where are you testing alphabetical? This one, right? Oh, okay. So this is it's not really, my test should actually be a lot simpler. I test a class method, I do this. Describe, class is a dot. So alphabetical. So that's how I test it, okay? So I test in different scenarios. Return, correct. So let's say, maybe it's easier to write should, so you don't have to worry about the correct grammar, right? Should return empty if there are no products. So means in this case, I test what? Expect product.alphabetical to equal nothing. Okay? It should return correct, the products in their correct order. So this is how you normally write a test, and then you write product dot alphabetical, what you implement, you test that method to equal. Now here I say, let's say product 1, product 2, product 3. How do I do that? Just do product 1 is, so this guy have factory girl, so you can do is just create a product. And maybe I do a name first. So A, let's say that. And I have 2 here, and this is B. Same thing. 3, right? C. So it means this has to be sorted in A, B, C. Sometimes you don't care about the order. Product 1, product 2, product 3. And this is like product 3, product 1, whatever. If you want, this is an EQ matcher. We already know about that. What the lab tell you is that you don't use this. But this is very useful in some cases. Okay? If you return, and then you say match array, it means it doesn't care about the order. But it's wrong in this test. Okay? Good. So that's the model test. Any question about model test? What's that? So now another thing. In this case, right, if you see this, don't worry so much. What it is, it just read like English. Should respond to email, do, expect email, use subject dot email to equal, to, well, that's a respond to here, matcher, but so expect subject dot to respond to email. But in some of these cases, it just means that you must have an email method, right? You can write yourself, right? For example, expect email to be something, okay? That's okay, right? You like to equal something, but it's just a block, and it just skip the string here. Don't worry about it. Now subject is the same as you doing let user. Let's say this user, right? So you do a before here, right? Subject, it just make writing this short line easier. If you don't understand, forget about it. It's not that useful, right? What it is that subject give you the user as in one class. You can only have one subject. If you name it as subject, then you can write very short things like that. But it's so much magic that some people just think that it's stupid, right? Okay. Now this before user, again, this is Ruby, right? Another block, right? I can do exactly the same without using a before block. Who knows how to do it? Let's say I comment this out. I use the let method, right? So a let method, let's say I'll just take everything in this block over here and then just do let user. So it just create this guy, right? User, and everywhere else, if you use user, I don't need this. So see, I just create a user. Anywhere I use at user, I just do user. So that's the difference. Sorry, it's a little fast. But this code right now, they make the code really complicated, but I can just write something like that, right? It's this line, let user. It means you have a user method. You don't use instance variable, and then it's down here. Now, why this is better than before block? Does anyone guess? Can anyone guess why? If I use before do user equals, if I have like test 2, test 3, don't worry about it, okay? If you have 3 tests and you use this before block, this user instance always created, right? If I don't use this user instance, but I actually use user, then user is only created when you run user. So it's lazy. If you learn in some languages, this is called lazy loading of the variable. Okay? All right. Is your all test pass? Being spec. Let's see. Hopefully it passed. Now, there's one option. This one option I want to show you. Wait for this to pass first. Anyone has question about the test, the assignment so far? You get stuck on something else?
Do we have a virtual class on Sunday?
Huh? Tutorial, yeah, that's not the lab question, but yes. Okay, so I want to do this, guys. So let's see, all this hard work, right? Spec, let's see if it works. What? Fail? Wait, why?
Because
You should kill. What happened? What happened? All right, so let's do that, right? Let's redo bundle exact guard here. Let's make sure it works. Okay, why did I make something? Oh, this one, right? Why is it failing? My test should be correct. Before. Oh, I have a lot more tests, right? Okay, fine. So you create the product 1, product 2. Do they have a name? So in this case, let's say I want this to look. All right, let's see which one is failing. I have 3 products, and it's saying something is failing. This empty thing is comparing with that. Let's try to work it together. Alphabetical, right? Should return empty. Oh, empty. This guy, right? All right. How do we fix this test, guys? All right. You know one way to fix this? Of course, remove this pending because you're already adding the test. And I just forget about these 3 things, right? I remove this. I remove this line. This test doesn't need any data. That's correct. This test doesn't need any data. Maybe put it in here, right? Okay. And in this test, they need data, but these guys write really ugly tests, so don't worry about it. Oh, everything passes. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Look at that. All right, let's try it. Bundle exact aspect. Whoops. Let's do this. Spec. I hate typing. Okay. Is it passing? All right, guys. So much work just to see this in the command line, right? Who knows how to make it show up in the browser? Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Harry. Harry. You guys have any question there? All right, so I'll do this. Aspect. Okay, spec. This is what you see, right? If you give it to your manager, you actually want something better, right? Let's say test or maybe manager.html. And then let's open this guy.
So where it will start this file?
It just generated that file in controller, right? So if you write your test well, it's pretty cool. You actually can have this whole thing. It's grouped. That's why there's a reason. If you look at alphabetical, you see product.alphabetical or the pound sign in index, let's say index. So you in a products controller index, and this is your context, right? So you see it makes sense. And when your project becomes really big, right, you can see what test is really slow, so you can actually improve on it if you generate a 1,000 things. So that's why test is useful, because this is behavior, right? It reads like English. It's just like behavior. Okay, so that's there are many formats, but that's why RSpec, people love RSpec, because RSpec give you a lot of formatting option, colors in the console. If you look at guard, when you run guard, it only rerun one test that fails. It saves you a lot of time, right? And then when it test fail, it tells you exactly what line number it fails, line 11. So all these little things make writing tests in RSpec beautiful. But you know, when you become really good, you don't really care. So yeah. So any questions? This lab is a little hard. Thank you for trying there. Some of this is, you know, you have to really read it carefully. Windows people have a little bit of problem. And this one is just, you know, a lot of work, but if you read it, you can, don't worry about writing most beautiful test code, writing very simple test cases, you know, small and simple, easy to read, right? It's okay if you have code that looks similar in test. You see how I create 3 records, I just duplicate? Because when someone reads, it's so easy. If you become so clever, you like, you know, generate this array, you map to another array, you do, and then someone else reads your code. It's like, where's the bug? But you know, if you just create a record like a normal stupid person does, then your stupid friend can actually help you. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.